Good job. Good job. So if you haven't seen it, that's about what it looks like coming out over here.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
It's got a little delay. We've been doing this for several weeks now, trying to work our way from a temporary setup to something. I'm John Hashana, by the way. Jeff, good to meet you. Marla, nice to meet you. Are you members? That's very nice. That's nice to meet both of you. And where do you live? We live in North. So do I. Old Boston Post Road, between the school and the Hampton. Oh, yeah. Saybrook Village.
We're in the Middletown Edge.
Okay, I don't know it. I only live there.
On Boston Post Road from downtown Saybrook.
Yeah.
You take a left.
Okay.
And you go down and it curves, you know, like this. We're the first street on the left-hand side. It goes down all the way to the water.
Okay, my son has some friends, parents live there.
They call it Saybrook. Okay. So you're on Post Road?
Old Boston Post Road.
Which is the one?
Between the Henny Penny and the library.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some condos there. There's about 20 minutes.
My Trask car. Exactly.
Yeah, through the back. Been there for 4 years.
Nice.
Nice to meet you both.
I
Thanks for reminding me.
We can go home.
Yeah, people are talking.
A lot of people who can't come.
They can do it live and they can watch it right now. What's the
all of you here, and to know that we also have folks joining us via live streaming. So we are not alone. And neither are the folks on live streaming, which is really what's so important about that. As we begin these 10 days of awe, and as we begin to reflect on the year that has passed, it is really not easy to encapsulate this past year. For our congregation, among many things, it has been a year of caring for each other, of joyful celebration of life cycle moments and holidays, of lively and deep study among kids and adults, of innovation all over this building. And then out there, it seems that the world is on fire with the effects of a warming planet and with the flames of war in Israel, Gaza, Iraq, Syria, and in the Ukraine. So we bring in this new year with a real mixture of feelings, with joy, gratitude, and with a measure of trepidation about what the future holds. So my prayer as we begin these days of awe is that this sanctuary and this community can be a holy container for our deepest yearnings, our fears, our gratitude, our praise, and our hope. May this be a sweet year for all of us and for the world. So as we begin to join together in communal prayer, just a few notes about the technicalities of making it all work, so we're all on the same page, and so we really have a sense of sacred time in here together. And a very important piece of that is turning off your cell phones. So please double check, make sure they're turned all the way off, even if you didn't think it was in your purse. Check it. We often get ringing purses around here, so you can turn those off. And in order to follow along, if your Hebrew, isn't 100%, there is some transliteration of some of the prayers in the back of the Machzor, in the back of the prayer book. And some of the songs that we want to make sure we're really singing together that aren't transliterated in the book are transliterated in the supplement. If you don't know what I mean by transliterated, it means the Hebrew is written out in English so you can try and pronounce it. So I hope you will sing with us. Also a note about the Machzor, the prayer book. There are 2 editions of it. Don't worry, you will track, everyone will be tracking together, but you'll notice that there's some differences in the God language in there. One is a little more old-fashioned, but just read what's in the book or read what's in your neighbor's book. It's all good. We're all talking to the same God. And I also just want to note as we begin these days of awe, a really important presence in the sanctuary are our team of gabbis who help with the honors and keeping this all flowing beautifully. And I want to acknowledge that our head gabbai for many years, Henry Resnick, is not with us for these days, although he did a lot of work leading up to it. He is currently recovering from surgery. He's doing great. And I just want to acknowledge that he's not here with us tonight. I have a feeling he's not watching the live stream. But who knows? We'll find out. So as we begin, let's just take a moment to turn to each other, see who you're sitting near, maybe introduce yourself to someone new, wish each other a Shana Tova, Happy New Year. So we welcome in this Yom Tov, this Yom Tov with the lighting of our Yom Tov candles on page 49. And it's my pleasure to invite up Liz Jones and Ali Rosenblum and their heads, Benji and Becca.
miracles. May the light of the divine shine forth to lead us, to show us the good we must do, the harmony we must create. Let the fire we kindle be for us a warming flame, whose brightness shows us the path of life.
Rosh Hashanah marks the birthday of the world. So these are kind of like birthday candles. And so we take a moment as we enter this birthday of our universe, of our world, to express gratitude for creation itself. Ma gadlu ma'asecha ya, me'od amku machshavotecha. How great are your works, O Holy One, how deep are your thoughts. page 51. In the twilight of the vanishing year, we lift up our hearts in thanksgiving.
Our souls are stirred by the memory of joy as the new year begins.
We were sustained by love and kindness, comforted in times of sorrow, found happiness in our homes and gladness with our friends. We lift up our hearts in thanksgiving as the new year begins.
As the new year begins, our spirits rise in lyrical song.
But there were dreams that came to naught, and times when we refused to dream. These, with much regret, we now remember as the new year begins.
As the new year begins, tradition of the cross.
Some of our days were dark with grief. Many a tear furrowed our cheeks. Alas, for the tender ties that were broken. We look back with sorrow as the new year begins.
As the new year begins, tears well within us.
Yet we look ahead with hope, giving thanks for the daily miracle of renewal, for the promise of good to come. May this Rosh Hashanah, birthday of the world, be our day of rebirth into life and peace, serenity and safety as the new year begins.
As the new year begins, so is hope reborn with us.
בחודש השביעי באחד לחודש יהיה לכם שבתון, זיכרון תרועה, מקרא קודש, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו. In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, there shall be a sacred assembly, a cessation from work, a day of commemoration proclaimed by the sound of the shofar. Please rise. Sound the shofar when the new moon appears, at the turning of the year, at the returning of our solemn celebration, for this is a statute binding on Israel, an ordinance of the God of Jacob. We invite up Elliot and Nancy Schwam to open the ark as we announce the new year. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu shetechadesh aleinu ve'al kol Beit Yisrael et Hashana hazot shnat chameshet alafim u'shva me'ot v'shiv'im v'chamesh l'chayim u'l'shalom l'sason u'l'simcha l'shu'a u'l'nechama v'nomar. Amen. May this new year, called 5,775, bring to us and the whole house of Israel life and peace, joy and exaltation, redemption and comfort.
May this new year bring us life and peace, joy and exaltation, redemption and comfort. Amen.
Praise be the eternal God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the evening. Your will controls the stars as they travel through the sky.
Creator of day and night, you roll light away from darkness and darkness from light. You cause day to pass and bring on night. The God of all beings is your name. O living and eternal God, who rule us always to the end of time. Blessed is the God whose word makes evening fall.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'arim.
Ani Adonai Elohim, Asher Oseki Aken. me. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign on your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all on you spoke and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God.
All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone are our God. There is none else. And we are Israel, your people.
You are our sovereign, delivering us from the hand of oppressors, saving us from the fist of tyrants, doing wonders without number, marvels that pass our understanding. You give us our life. With your help, our people have survived all our oppressors.
You did wonders for us in the land of Egypt, miracles and marvels in the land of Pharaoh.
You led your people Israel out forever to serve you freely.
When your children witnessed your power, they extolled you and gave you thanks. Freely they acclaimed you sovereign, and full of joy, Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang this song. Cause us, O eternal God, to lie down in peace, and raise us up, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help.
Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful ruler, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. Guard our coming and our going, and now and always we have life and peace.
Blessed are you, O God, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Adonai, Eloheinu, Yeshua,
On page 64. The house of Israel is called to holiness, to a covenant with the eternal for all time.
We are called to serve the Most High. May we rejoice in His heritage forever.
May this day add meaning to our lives. Let the shofar's sound awaken the voice of conscience. Our common worship unite us in love. Our memories of bondage impel us to help the oppressed. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, ya'aleh v'yavo v'yizacher zichronenu, v'zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha, l'tova, l'chein, l'chesed, l'rachamim, l'chayim, l'shalom, v'yom hazikaron hazeh. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu bo l'tova.
Amen.
V'vogdenu bo livracha.
Amen.
V'hoshienu bo l'chayim.
Amen.
On this day of remembrance, we pray for awareness. Let love and compassion grow among us, and goodness be our daily care. This day may we find well-being. This day may we discover the eternal strength that abides among us. This day may we be helped to a life that is whole. Amen. Continue silently through page 68, using the prayers in the book, or just allowing yourself to find your own prayers within, and you can be seated when you are finished. rise now as we open to page 69 for Avinu Malkeinu, and we invite up Sandy and Andrea Simon to the slide. Please join me in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and famine. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us. Avinu Malkeinu, give strength to your people Israel. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. This summer, my family was fortunate to be able to spend a glorious week in Cape Cod. And one of the highlights was watching our children find confidence swimming in the ocean and facing down the waves. Our son, Zeev, who gave me permission to tell this story, who is 7½, he was doing really well with the waves. But inevitably, like every beginner, he had that experience of getting knocked down and rolled under the water. I imagine many of us can identify with this awful experience. It comes out of nowhere, you're disoriented, scared, and powerless. And then finally, when you surface, sputtering and coughing, you feel angry and defeated. You had forgotten that all-important principle of the ocean: once you have tackled one wave, there is always going to be another wave after that, and another one after that one. What a metaphor for our lives, and especially for the world these past few months. Crisis after crisis has been knocking us down and rolling us under. The waves of terror, violence, shootings, rockets, sirens, bombings, refugees, beheadings, and plane crashes in places like Syria, Ukraine, Iraq, Kurdistan, Ferguson, Missouri, and of course, Israel and Gaza. It has been hard to catch our breath long enough to make any sense of it, let alone to figure out what we should be doing to respond as individuals or as a country. In our own lives, I imagine many of us have had our own crashing waves to contend with: illnesses, injuries, cancer diagnoses, the deaths of loved ones, job losses, divorce, business troubles, life just not going as we had planned, worries for ourselves, for our parents, for our children. We get our footing just long enough for the next wave to come along. Tonight, as we embark on these 10 days of awe, I want to explore some prayers and images that we will be encountering in the prayer book that may help to frame our experiences of this past year in spiritual terms. Few of us have the chance to spiritually prepare for these holidays. And so tonight and tomorrow, when we open up the Machzor, we're hit in the face with words that we haven't had much time to wrap our minds around. So tonight I thought that we would take some time to prepare. And we'll prepare tonight for the shofar service that we will be experiencing tomorrow, and if you come back on the second day, on Friday morning as well. I do this because I think that the prayers surrounding the blowing of the shofar and the sound of the shofar itself can anchor us, comfort us, and provide some guidance as we confront the chaos and the uncertainty of our lives and of the times that we live in. It's kind of amazing that these ancient words composed by rabbis who lived almost 2,000 years ago can still speak to us today. And so I invite you, actually, to open up the prayer book and follow along, if you'd like, as I refer to the prayers of the shofar service. And of course, if you would just rather listen that is fun too. I'll be reading all the texts that I'll be referring to. In our Reform movement, Machzor, the shofar service begins after the Torah is read on Rosh Hashanah morning, and you'll find it on page 138. So I invite you to turn that page if you'd like. And you'll see it says, the sounding of the shofar at the top. So this part of our service begins with a quote from the Torah where this shofar blowing holiday is announced. You can see that. And then on page 139, we have a beautiful poem. And I'll just read some of the Hebrew for you. Uru yishenim mishnatchem unirdamim. Uru yishenim mishnatchem. Awaken, you sleepers, from your sleep. Rouse yourselves, you slumberers, out of your slumber. And it goes on. V'zichru bor'echem elu hashokachim et ha'emet b'havlei hazman. I love this line. Remember your Creator, you who are caught up in the daily round, losing sight of eternal truth. All year long, we have been asleep. We've been wrapped up in the details of our daily lives. We've been bogged down in the Facebook posts and the news feeds about Israel and ISIS or whatever the crisis of the day might be. We think we've been paying close attention. We think we've been getting things done. But in fact, you've been asleep to what is really, really true. Ha'emet. We've been distracted. We've been obsessing and worrying, or we've been avoiding. Wake up. Look around you and remember that you are part of something larger. There's a bigger picture that we can perhaps only glimpse, in which perhaps all that is confusing us makes some sense. And what is that bigger picture? We learn this from our rabbis in the next 3 sections of the shofar service. Malchuyot, which represents kingship or power, Zichronot, remembrance, and Shofarot, the sound of the shofar. So we begin with Malchuyot, and you can see that word there on page 139. Malchuyot, sovereignty, is what my prayer book says. Okay? And if you turn to page 140, we have a prayer that we say all year. It's the Aleinu. But how often do we actually pay attention to what it's saying? How often do I pay attention? It says, we must praise the Lord of all, the maker of heaven and earth. Right? And then it continues in the next little paragraph. We therefore bow in awe and thanksgiving before the one who is sovereign over all, the holy and blessed one. And then the liturgy continues on the next page with quotes from Psalms. You look in the middle. Lift up your heads, O gates. Lift yourselves up, O ancient doors. Let the King of glory enter. So here we have a very traditional masculine image of God as a king entering the gates, about to seat himself on the throne. And we're supposed to praise and thank God, our King, for ruling over us. And we actually do bow as we chant some of these words. So last year, you might remember that I actually spoke about how this male king on a throne is not the only image for God, and that some of us might better relate to God as a woman or some other kind of image like breath or source of life. But there is a spiritual purpose to using this king image here. We proclaim, lift up your heads, O gates, let the King of glory enter. And then we hear the blasts of the shofar. Suddenly, the sanctuary is a palace. And a powerful, loving presence enters the room and takes a seat on the throne. We are reminded that God is here, that God is in charge. As God enters the gates of this throne room, we remember that ultimately we are not the ones in control. Whether or not I believe in God as some supernatural being, I do know that the waves crashing over me are answering to a power much larger than myself. This may give some of us comfort. I don't have to be in control of everything. Or it could be scary. I have to let go of believing that I am in control of everything. Either way, the blasts of Malchuyot wake me up to this truth: I am not in charge. The second round of shofar blasts comes in a section called Zichronot, or Remembrance. And if you look at the bottom of page 143, you can see where that section begins. Zichronot, Remembrance. And if you look on page 144, you'll find these words: you remember the work of creation. You are mindful of all that you have made. You unravel every mystery. All secret things are known to you. This is the part that I love. For there is no forgetfulness in your presence, nothing hidden from your sight. The classic way of understanding this is God is watching. Be careful of making a wrong move, or else. God remembers. God sees everything. But I like to read it differently. How beautiful is this? To remember during these chaotic times that God remembers, that God has created us, and God has not forgotten us. The text reads, Poked kol yitzurei kedem. God is taking note. God is giving us caring attention. There is no forgetfulness in your presence. We are not forgotten. We are not left hanging out here. We are not abandoned. On page 145, at the bottom, it says, the Torah proclaims God heard the enslaved people's groaning and remembered the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The psalmist affirms, you remembered your covenant with us. In your great love, you comforted us. The prophet declares, I will remember the covenant I made with you in the days of your youth, and I will establish with you an everlasting covenant. God remembered us in Egypt, and God will continue to remember us now. Therefore, whether you are hospitalized or homebound, depressed or hopeless, in a war zone in the Middle East or on the streets of St. Louis, God hears and remembers the groaning of those who are suffering. And so what do we hear in the sound of the shofar blasts of Zichronot? We hear and remember what God remembers about us. All of us have a spark of the divine within us. All of us have value. As a colleague said to me recently, God is not out to get us. We're okay. And we can even make ourselves and the world better. In those shofar blasts, we can remember what God remembers. That all the way back in the beginning of the world, all human beings who came to differentiate into Jews and Christians and Muslims and black and white and Arab, all human beings were created in God's image. As the waves come rolling towards us, we are not abandoned to our struggles, and therefore we must not abandon each other. We are not forgotten, and therefore must not forget each other. The blasts of Zichronot wake us up to the truth that we are loved, and that we must extend that love to all beings. The third and final section of the shofar service is called shofarot, which means the blast of the shofar. And you'll see, it begins on page 148. And here, the liturgy describes the moment when our people were gathered at Mount Sinai and when we heard God's voice revealing the Torah to us. Your sacred word came forth amid flashes of fire. There was thunder and lightning, and with the sound of a shofar, you were manifest to us. So when we met God for the first time, it was with the sound of the shofar resonating around us. And on page 149 in the last paragraph, the eternal will appear. This is in the future. God's arrow will flash like lightning. The eternal God will cause the shofar to be sounded and stride forth with the storm winds of the south. Thus, O God, will you shield your people with peace. So here again, we have a traditional notion. Here, the traditional notion is revelation and redemption. In the past, God revealed himself to our people. God spoke to us directly and brought us the Torah, the blueprint for building a holy community and for healing the world. At Sinai, amidst the sound of the shofar, we as a people woke up to what God expects from us. And in the future, God will come again, accompanied by that shofar sound, to herald the Messianic age, a time of eternal peace. This alone is a hopeful message. The shofar wakes us up to the possibility of some future redemption. It reminds us that it won't always be this hard. That the world can change for the better, and we can be a part of that change by heeding the call of Torah that we hear in the voice of the shofar. But there's even more. I want you to see something surprising on the next page, on page 150. There on that page, we ask God directly to sound the great shofar. So God is a shofar blower here. To proclaim our freedom, raise the banner for the redemption of the oppressed, signal liberty for all who are in exile. Beautiful, all good stuff, right? And then the section ends with the words, and this is the surprise, in the italics, we praise you, the merciful God, who hearkens to the sound of the shofar. So at the beginning of this prayer, God was blowing the shofar, but at the end, what's happening? Not only are we waking up to the possibility of future redemption, but we are actually blowing the shofar so loud and so hard and so long that God will wake up too. So that God will wake up and lead us in our efforts to bring freedom, joy, and peace to the world. God needs us to wake him up. Wow, Joe, we're giving you a big job. This is not meant to intimidate you. But what does it say? You are not in control. You are not forgotten. Things can change. Wake up! That is what the shofar comes to remind us. We who have been like slumberers, stumbling through the chaotic landscape of this world. I want to close with the words of a poet who also lived through a time of terrible chaos and violence. Walt Whitman lived through the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict that has ever taken place in our land. And in the wake of those waves of suffering that rolled over this land, Whitman wrote a poem called The Mystic Trumpeter. This poem would fit beautifully into the liturgy of our shofar service, and if I ever get to write one, I'm going to use the whole poem. But I'll just focus on the final stanza. In the final stanza, Whitman calls upon the trumpeter. Perhaps he's addressing the angel Gabriel or God. He calls on the trumpeter to bring us hope and joy, renewal and peace. He calls upon the trumpeter asking for that day of redemption to come, when all we will do is live and breathe in a world of purity, health, wisdom, and joy. This poem is not in your prayer book, but I'm going to invite you to rise as I recite the end of it. And I'm going to invite one of our trumpeters up here, Joe, to go get his shofar. You can come join me here, Joe. So that we can hear this sound just once tonight as we prepare to hear it again tomorrow. Now, trumpeter, for thy close, vouchsafe a higher strain than any yet. Sing to my soul, renew its languishing faith and hope. Rouse up my slow belief, give me some vision of the future. Give me for once its prophecy and joy. O glad, exulting, culminating song, a vigor more than earth's is in thy notes. Marches of victory, man disenthralled the conqueror at last. Hymns to the universal God from universal man, all joy. A reborn race appears, a perfect world, all joy. Women and men in wisdom, innocence, and health, all joy. Riotous, laughing bacchanals filled with joy. War, sorrow, suffering gone, the rank earth purged, nothing but joy left. The ocean filled with joy, the atmosphere all joy, 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 in freedom, worship, love, joy in the ecstasy of life, enough to merely be, enough to breathe, joy, joy, all over, joy. Tiki Agdala. Another symbol of joy for us is the wine, the fruit of the vine. So we continue now with Kaddish for this day of remembrance on page 42. Please rise.
ותיתן לנו מתנה אלוהינו לאהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה מדרך קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. עמנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, וברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך כל הארץ מקדש ישראל ביום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We remain standing for Aleinu and invite up Robert Brunel and Karen Cheney to open the park, page 43.
Oh
2005 more recently, for those whom we remember when we gather as families and community to enter a new year. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessed. We turn to Kaddish now on page 45, and I invite all mourners and those who wish to join them to rise. Yitzhadam, Yitzhadash, Shnei Rava, Ya'alma, Tigraf, Yuteh, Yamlik, Malchuteh, Chayechon, Yomechon, Chayet, Kol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalah, Yizman, Karib, Rabban Barat Leolam Le'amaya Yishbarach Yishtabach Yishba'ar Yishonam Yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei V'yishal B'reku Ve'elam Yikol Birkatat Shiratat Tushbakatat V'nechenata Dam Miram V'alma Ve'hei Shmana Rabban Yishmaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael Oseh Shalom Miramah Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. Before we close, I'd like to invite up for some announcements our Congregational President, Stephen Demas.
Shana Tova. You know, this is an extraordinary moment with so many people's hands having been a part of this process, from our wonderful choir to our clergy, to people, all the people that have worked hard on tonight's donate, and of course our board members who kindly brought our beautiful display in the front here. But I particularly want to, before making a couple of announcements, just point out that this is the first time that our beautiful service can be seen by people all over the world tonight, if they tuned in on YouTube. And actually, 350 people so far have done exactly that. It's quite extraordinary. We've just started a few weeks ago, and yet we have that many people that have come through the waves of cyberspace to join us in this sanctuary. So I did want to say, though, that we want to continue that, and we're trying to create a group of essentially producers, video producers. And John Hausman is working on this. And where's John? Can you stand up? So, John, stand up, would you please? Thank you. So if anyone would wish to be a volunteer and become one of our producers, please speak to John during the ONEG or any time during this holiday. He'll be happy to help out. Okay, just a few announcements for now. Our services tomorrow morning begin at 9:30, Rosh Hashanah services. We will follow that, of course, with our service of Tashlich. With the weather permitting, we'll hopefully walk. Those who can walk will do so. If you want to drive, you can do that as well. We'll go over, of course, and do what we've done for many years, which is go out on the ferry, the beauty of the Connecticut River, and think about our sins. So that's 9:30. We have 2 o'clock is the family program tomorrow. Children's service starts at 3 o'clock. And then on Friday, for the second day of Rosh Hashanah, services will begin here at 9:30. And we'll be delighted to see you. We'll have, of course, on Sunday as well, services at our 2 cemeteries. The Fountain Hill Cemetery in Deep River service will begin at 1 o'clock. And then a second one at Rutgers Zedek and Ludus will begin at 2:30. All of this is in your handout that you'll have seen. And tomorrow you'll see even more. We'll have on your seats our annual brochure with more programs, and we invite you to join us whenever you can.
Just a couple notes that after we say Motzi and sing our closing song, please, if you could allow our cantors and myself and Meg, our choir director, to kind of make our way to the ONEG so that we can greet you. And be sure to get yourself your own wine, juice, and challah, as we did say Kaddish and we're saying Motzi for all of you. And please do return your prayer books and supplements to the front table if you can. That will help a lot getting ready for tomorrow morning. So, Motzi. This is a Howard Kaplan, Zichrono Livracha. Challah. So he's here with us this year. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. So I always have to take a bite of the challah and then give you instructions. I'm going to wait. So we're going to close on page 47 with Adon Olam.
Yeah.
Hashana.